Okay, so this is a super quick tip on remote working using Slackwell. It's kind of a Slack tip, but it applies if you're using Teams or something else. And it's basically to say good morning when you start work. So you can see here we've got essentially the general channel in a Slack I'm in. And every morning when people start work, they basically just drop a comment saying, hey, morning. And, you know, it gives people a chance to react on here saying, hey, waving at each other. It's kind of the equivalent to walking in an office, right? And there's an equivalent to this, right? Which is at the end of the day when you're signing off to say, hey, I'm off for the day. Good night. See you all later, right? And there's a few reasons that this is a good idea. On globally distributed teams, this is useful because people come online at all sorts of different times of day. So you're unlikely to have a meeting where you can all jump on and say this at the same time. You're going to have people who are over East coming on much earlier than people who are like US West Coast, right? And I guess there's some benefits to this, right? Firstly, it notifies everyone that you're here, right? So I tend to work personally quite late. So I often come on and say good morning at maybe midday, 1 o'clock, because I tend to work from that time through to, 9, 10 o'clock at night. And that's a notification to me. If people see this channel and they see that I've said good morning, it means I'm probably at my desk, right? And I'm available to some extent. And likewise, when I say good night, I'm off. That's a sign to people that they're probably not going to be able to get hold of me until I've had some sleep and so on. So it's kind of nice to passively communicate when I'm here and when I'm not here to some extent. The other thing is that for me, it acts as a kind of cap to the day, right? That the act of saying good morning, I'm here is kind of like a big stamp at the beginning of the day that says, right, it's time to start work. And likewise, at the end of the day, when I say, okay, I'm signing off now, just personally, it's a stamp that says that's me done. And I'm less likely to feel inclined to open Slack and check it in my evening and all this. So just personally, it's good to like mark the beginning and end of your day like this. It also acts as a signal that you have boundaries about work. So if I'm clear about saying good morning, I'm starting work now, and good evening, I'm finishing work now, that communicates to other people, but also to me that I have boundaries, and therefore I shouldn't be working beyond those boundaries. And finally, it can sometimes spark a social conversation, right? So I'm not going to scroll too much through this, but there's probably a few examples of here for, say you said, good morning, I'm feeling a bit rubbish today. It might spark a conversation in the thread about that, right? Just like in real life, if you come in the morning and you're like, morning, everyone, I'm not feeling very well today, people will talk about it, right? So it's quite a nice way to encourage a little bit of social conversation. And it's one of those things that is such a tiny thing to encourage as a habit, but it's a good habit when we're all remote, and especially when we're all asynchronous because we're in different time zones. So yeah, there we are. Top tip on capping your day with a good morning and a good evening when you start and finish work.